Mary was 14 and had been in her job as a parlour-maid for only a few months. As she had been brought up in a smoke-blackened tenement, she was in awe of the house she found herself working in. Elmwood Hall was one of the best houses in Birtleby, with a seemingly endless number of rooms and imposing bay windows that looked out over sweeping grounds which, as might be expected, were leafy with elm. The house required an endless amount of work from servants. Mary's day lasted 15 hours. She thought of herself as less of a parlour-maid and more of a skivvy. Janet had told Mary that 15 hours had always been normal for a parlour-maid in that house, though what did make things more difficult was that there were fewer servants than there used to be. And even though the staff had been reduced after Miss Wright's father died, Miss Wright expected the house to be kept to the same standard. It was one of Mary's duties to polish furniture, which included the mahogany wardrobes, the four-poster bed in her lady's room, the escritoire, and the bookcases, among many other pieces. Then there was the silver to be looked after, the cutlery service, the dinner service, the trays, and the silver-framed mirrors and candlesticks. This was on top of the normal housework she had anticipated, the scrubbing of floors and the beating of carpets. Mary had to learn the names of a lot of the furniture she looked after, and she still had no idea what some of the cutlery could be for. There was so much to learn for a girl who had been brought up in 2 rooms with only a kitchen table and some chairs in one room, and in the other, a set-in bed, a couple more chairs, and a blanket box. Entering service had been walking into a different world, and she'd met different types of people there. Her mistress's vowels had been as polished as she expected the silver to be. This was a world of backs held straight and restricted displays of emotion. Miss Evelyn Wright was the first lady Mary had met, and she still had not adjusted to her. That morning, Mary had started at 6, cleaning and blackening the kitchen range and lighting it, then whitening the front steps, and now she was clearing out and making fires in the rest of the house. Because she was doing the dirtier tasks, she was wearing one of her print dresses with a morning apron of rough hessian, though she wore the usual goffer cap. Mary's mother had scrimped and saved for Mary's uniforms. The house was dark, and Mary drew back the curtains and lit gas mantles as she went along. When she opened the drawing-room door, light filled it from the hallway so that when she entered that room she could see clearly. Too clearly. She shrieked. She dropped the bucket she was carrying. Though this spilled ash over the floor, that did not merit a glance from her. She stood, stock still, unable to move. Stretched out on the Turkish rug in front of the black marble fireplace lay Mary Cunningham's employer, Miss Evelyn Wright, or what had been her. The head was thrown back, bruised and bloody, with the eyes still protruding. There was a wound on her forehead, and her nose was at an odd angle. The dark green georgette dress was bloodied too. Mary stared at Miss Wright's emerald brooch, which still sparkled. It seemed incongruous now. Mary gulped at her employer for a further long moment before she forced herself into the only action she could think of and scurried off to fetch the housekeeper. Mary had met death before. She had lost a brother in infancy and a sister had died of TB. But this was her first acquaintance with murder. She was moving in different circles now. Chapter 3. As Inspector Blades stepped out of his car outside Elmwood Hall, he noted the elms, the yew hedge, and the ornate iron gates. "Bit of a change from the types of places we're usually called out to," his sergeant, Aloysius Peacock, said. "Sometimes you state the obvious," Blades replied. "It's one of the most desirable areas in Birtleby. And definitely a better class of murder than the last one," he thought, as his mind returned to it. "I don't suppose it makes any difference to the victim," he said. As Blades and his sergeant strode up the drive to the door of the 3-storied mansion, Blades glanced at the man beside him. Peacock belied his name, with his flat grey cap and grey suit made of a material of questionable quality, and Blades was aware of his own rumpled suit and well-worn bowler. If he had known, he could have put on a dinner jacket.